So let's start with where we were with the standards last time we met. So last time we met, we had the opportunity to talk about the Performance Matters test. We looked at the breakdown of our school, our individual data, and looked at how we compared with the county. When we evaluated our data, we saw that our lowest standards were in literature, which was kind of funny considering we always felt like that was our strong suit, but now we made this shift to the nonfiction. And so we did discuss that it wasn't as alarming to us because we knew that we were ending fourth quarter with Romeo and Juliet, which is all fiction. When I looked at our standards, our lowest ones for the literature were characterization and theme, which is really perfect because we know that we're going to be addressing both of those deeply with Romeo and Juliet. So the last time we got together, we talked about some additional supplemental pieces that we could pair with Romeo and Juliet that were still nonfiction so that we could continue to strengthen our standards in the informational text while building in the literature standards for Romeo and Juliet, okay? So I know that one of the things that we all brought to this meeting was the assessments that we use to measure both summative and formative for Romeo and Juliet, as well as informational texts, as well as ideas for themes or activities that you're using in class. So Colleen, if you wanted to start.
Okay, so I made copies of everything for you guys. And we can go through it together.
Yeah, awesome. I love free paper.
Thank you.
Thank you. Really are.
Was my Act 1 guided notes that I've been doing with my students. I messed up on Act 1, Scene 4 with the Queen map. I put Scene 1, so that's not Scene 1, that's Scene 4. I just messed up.
Hey, can I interrupt you for 2 seconds?
Yes.
Do you give them this is the whole packet for
Yeah,
them?
I give them this and they put it in their folder underneath their desk. They're not allowed to take it home until they turn it in.
Okay.
We do it all in class together.
Okay.
So we do Act 1, Scene 1 together. There was really good on the first page of Act 1, Scene 1 is looking at the events of the play because they have to know what exposition means and then they have to actually think about like the timeline and what they have seen on stage versus stuff that they've heard other characters talk about, which has actually been really difficult with my kids, so I'm glad that I put that in there.
It was a 2-part question. They had to answer both parts, and for the most part, everybody did really well on that. So I'm going to continue to make them for the other acts.
Which you will be sharing.
Yes, which I will be sharing.
Does anyone have like a strategy to where their kids actually do answer multi-part questions? Because like mine just refuse to answer all of the questions if there's more than one question.
Do you mean it's part of like a party response?
Yeah, if it's like a written response and it has more than one question mark in it, they only answer the first one, and like I cannot, like I say go back and then they go back and do it, but it's the same kids every single time who they answer the first question and try to give it to me, and I'm like, no, I'm not going to be there to tell them to go back.
Question.
So, like something I do with mine, because I give them the study guide that has the guided questions that comes with the textbook. I don't know if that was the same when you were talking about. But,
Yeah.
And I do a couple of them with them, especially if I know it's the ones that they're going to struggle with because we've read Romeo and Juliet so many times.
Yeah.
So that way I can specifically point out, like let's say we're looking at number 6 and it's a 2-part question and I ask the first question. And I like that too because it's the specific line numbers. All right, let's put it, and I always put my finger. Did you hear me say that today? Put your finger on lines.
Yeah.
So we go there and they answer the first part and we talk about it and then, okay, we're not done. There's a second part of the question and then you have to answer the second one. So maybe, I mean, you can't do all of them because they do have to be independent and work on their own, but you could definitely do a couple of them out loud. Like I know we're going to struggle with number 3 and there's more than one question here, so let's take a look at that.
Okay.
And sometimes just like before they even answer it, you say, okay, this is one question, but how many questions are in this question? And then they would obviously count and tell you. And sometimes they get it wrong. So sometimes they genuinely don't know that it's asking for something or the way it's phrased might be a little ambiguous. So
part of it, like the passage packet that you had with the FSA prep, the one, and you shared that with me prior, and I just do one a day as a warm-up. So like for your ESE students, that might be helpful instead of looking at a packet can be very overwhelming, but they're very short and there's like 2-3 questions, and that's, you know, you're still focused on the FSA and the kids get that and they appreciate like we're still practicing FSA without having to do practice tests every single day.
And they're all really good too, in that, every single time you can say, okay, well, this was the answer. I'm like, now, somebody pick out a piece of text evidence for me that helps us prove that that answer is the right answer. And they can pick it out.
Right.
So those, I like those, so.
Quick review skills and strategies, yeah.
I do want to brag on Scuttlebutt.
I'm
Scuttlebutt
so
is going
excited.
so well. So I made a totally new Google Classroom, and it's called the Verona Scuttlebutt. So I did it for my first and third. I have 2 separate ones. I just want to kind of read y'all.
Yeah.
So this is somebody's post. Hello, my name is Lucy Paddington. I am a close friend of the Montagues, and I couldn't help but wonder why Romeo has been so sad these past few days. He hasn't been at any of the brawls with the Capulets, and every night I would see him walk by my house late at night crying. What a baby. He needs to be looking for a wife, not wandering the woods crying for no reason. Anyways, I was at the Capulets party last night since my daughter was invited and I wanted to accompany her. But out of nowhere, I see someone who looks very similar to Romeo. It was very hard to tell with all the dancing, but soon I did figure out that it was him. What is Romeo doing there, knowing that there's issues between the Montagues and the Capulets? I also see that he keeps watching this girl, who I believe is Lord Capulet's daughter. Does Romeo want this whole feud to get worse? Well, this is all I have for you guys. See you next time, Lucy Paddington. And then a classmate commented on it and said, I have to admit, I did find his behavior quite strange. So, like, it's just cute, it's interactive, and they had to create their own character, they had to give background stories.
Nice.
And,
They're all Gossip Girl.
yeah, so it was cute and it was fun, and like we talked about, it was kind of a nice way to just like break up the,
But they're summarizing the plot.
yeah, they summarized the plot and its characterization, they
Point
had
of
to create a character.
Yeah.
I'm introducing it tomorrow, so I am very excited.
I'm so excited for you, so well.
All right, well, if anybody just, do you have something else?
No.
Okay. Thank you for your time and thank you so much for sharing all of your materials.
Yep. It's always a pleasure.